So for everyone that is going to be listening to this on a podcast or watching the video, can you please tell us who you are and where you live?
Hi, my name is Haneen Hayder, and I live in Burlingame, California, which is about 10 miles south of San Francisco. So I'm in California.
Cool. And just because we hear so much in Miami about California, and I guess everyone does in the US, how's everything? How's life in California?
Life in California right now is interesting, to say the least. We are in shelter in place. So that means our daily limited activities is basically very, very limited. Um, we I've been home, for example, for 2 weeks right now. I have not left my house, conducting business virtually.
Wow. And so like when you say that, there are two questions that come to mind. First of all, since I've, followed you for years, how do you keep your mindset so strong?
That's a tough one. That's really a tough one because with kids being home and household and business commingled when they used to be separate, it takes a lot of skills and it takes a lot of tricks. And I'm the first one to admit that the first 2 weeks, those past 2 weeks have been a disaster because I had to improvise. I mean, I've had meetings with kids in the background. I've had meetings with puppies in the background. Again, we're all humans. One of the first thing I've decided to do is to wake up early because quiet time means that's my most productive time. So if the tasks are urgent, they get done first thing in the morning before everybody wakes up.
Smart. And so my second question is, you're saying about business. How are you doing business nowadays?
So business is we're conducting business virtually. We have not. I personally have not shown houses. My team has not shown houses for 2 weeks now, since this shelter in place have been instated. Um, but at the same time, I don't call it business. I call it checking on everybody. I mean, we went on and basically made it a goal of our for us to call all of our clients, friends, family, just to check on everybody and and just say how you doing and having that human connection and not really talking about business but seeing how can we be of service, how can we be of service to our clients, how can we be of service to our community, and while doing that supporting small businesses. So for example, I've looked at every time we order a takeout from a restaurant, I make sure to post it and boost it on social media to tell everybody that they're open, they're taking takeout. Because reality is the small businesses around us, especially around me, are struggling. So we want it to make it a priority to switch gears and try to support um, our community, basically.
Yeah, that's great. And it's, I think the main thing is we're all in this together throughout the world, and
Exactly.
that's as bad as it is, it's comforting a little bit too.
It as bad as it is, we have it way better than some other people. We're healthy, we're safe, we have a roof over our head. I mean, it's the bare necessity that makes you thankful. I think it's also makes you grateful for what you have.
Totally, totally. And so when you've been making these calls and you've been calling your clients, friends, family, how has the response been?
Overwhelmingly positive. People want to talk to another human being. I think it's also everybody's stuck at their homes, and after a while, they're kind of sick of the routine that have with their families,
Yeah,
and,
for
and they
sure.
want to hear a new voice.
Totally, totally. So I know you're pretty structured and you're saying about waking up early. Is there any way you have like a schedule nowadays?
A schedule is very tough with homeschooling, and I try. So the only schedule I was able to stick to be honest, is my team calls. So we have we've always had one team call in the morning at 8:30. We switched it to noon. No, actually 1 o'clock. We switched it to 1 o'clock every day. So it gives me a little bit of structure. So because I have to be prepared for the call. So that's like, it's a good thing because, and then I do have other calls that are like concrete calls on my schedule for the whole week that I can't miss. Like our team check-in, our office meeting, coaching session, check-in. All of these have kind of put a structure to my week. But, you know, this whole thing, this this whole scenario that we're living in right now just gave me a reminder of how fragile the life we live in, because your schedule can go out the door and you still have to make a living. You still have your commitment. You still have family to run. And it also made me grateful of how many people actually helped me raise my family. We still
Yeah.
rely on schools. We still rely on doctors. We don't have, you know what I mean? It's just the small things that we used to take for granted, and now they're gone.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I'm so glad you bring that up, because gratitude for me is the thing that came out of this the most. How many people, like the nurses, the doctors, the business owners, just so
Mm-hmm.
many people, the teachers, just everyone, how much we realize how difficult their jobs really are, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sure a lot of parents homeschooling are definitely grateful to their teachers.
We are very, very grateful for our teachers and preschool teachers, believe me.
So you're in a very tech market. You're very good with technology, stats, and all that. Um, a lot of people will ask me about the stock market and how it relates to real estate. What would you say about that?
So it's very interesting that you bring that up, because the first week we were in shelter in place, that was the only question every client of mine and every friend of mine was calling me to ask. They were calling me. I wasn't even calling them. And they're like, what happens to the value of my house right now? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, the stock market is so volatile. I'm assuming my home value is going up and down, up and down. And I'm like, no. I mean, reality is it takes a while for homes to go down or up in value. And trying to basically um, show the distinction between, the stock market can go up and down in value 17,000 times a day. And the houses, they still retain their value up to the time of close of escrow. And trying to relay that message of how stable the housing market is compared to the stock market, and how it's a safer option for even, to hold, because most people around here, most of their net worth is in the house, because houses around us are, relatively expensive. So most people look at their net worth, they look at the value of their house. And to give that people the assurance that your house is not going up and down and it's not changing in value tomorrow, it made people a little bit calm. And I think people are seeking info and also seeking comfort, because here's your biggest asset and you're looking at it like, is it gone?
Yeah, and I think it's sort of like stocks in a way. It's the value doesn't change until you sell it. You know,
Exactly.
it's the same.
Exactly. And that was the question I was asking. It's like, are you selling today? And they were like, no. And I said, so why do we care?
Right, right.
And where are you going to go? And they were like, well, I don't need to go anywhere. And I'm like, then I'll talk to you later.
Right, right. And in the case, in the event it did go down in value, the home that they're probably going to replace it with went down in value too. So it's like a wash.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cool. So as far as connecting with your database, you said you're calling them. Is it mostly calling? Are you doing more video calls? Is it
So we're
texting?
doing layers of things. So we've done bomb videos, like
Hmm.
personal bomb videos. We've done calls. I personally like to call just because I like to know what's happening. I feel the video um, chat, the video email or the video text is one side.
Yeah.
I like to have the human interaction. Um, and Also, we've done a lot of Zoom calls. I've hosted Zoom dinners, I've hosted Zoom happy hours, and again, mostly with friends and clients and colleagues, and it's a good way to bring sense of community to us, even that we're sheltered in place, we're distant, we don't see each other physically. But every time I proposed a Zoom meet to anybody, even clients that will not usually want to meet at Zoom, they're all like wanting that human interaction.
Totally. It's funny because when you talk about the dinners and those other meetings, I was thinking one of the things that I'll do once things are better is like a lot of times we want to go to dinner with our clients and just people's schedules are crazy. I was thinking that I can just have dinner sent to all of us and we'll all eat on Zoom and have like a virtual dinner, and I was able to get them the food.
That's what we've done, except we didn't deliver food. But like, we set a time, and everybody had to send everybody their menu, which made it fun. And then everybody had to tell everybody what they made and how they made it. And then so you basically get a dinner recipe and good conversations.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. Um, so as far as like I told you before, I've followed you, and you're like an agent that they would show you. You're like the blueprint agent,
Oh
all
gosh.
your systems in place. And I'm not just saying that because you're on here, but I follow you, I see you, whenever a lot of people in today's social media like to talk just to talk. When you talk, there's value. That's
Well, thank you. I
especially,
appreciate that.
oh,
I try to give value. I really do.
it's true. So I want to give the viewers, the listeners, value. So what would you tell an agent? So this is my last question. What would you tell an agent that is either starting to do business or doesn't like the way they're doing business or aren't happy with the results? What best practice could you give them?
Well, first of all, I would say, this is one of the main questions I get, and I get from a lot of people. What CRM should I use, and how would I use it, or how would I utilize it? Um, and I always tell people, forget about the CRM. The CRM is useless if you don't use it. I would say start small. Don't spend a lot of money, because nobody can sell you a solution to how to sell real estate, and invest in yourself. So, meaning, make sure you have a budget. Your family comes first. You have to be able to provide for your family, and don't take risks your first year. Learn the business, learn how it's done, and find a mentor. If you have somebody in your marketplace that you admire, um, follow them, ask the questions, don't be shy. I always, I came to this from an engineering background, and it literally took me 7 months to sell my first house. 7 months of me trying to observe, because I didn't know how to ask the proper question of how do you get this done. And I probably spent a lot of money that I should not have spent, thinking that's the solution to selling houses. So I would say seek people's help. Don't be shy about asking for help. Um, you always have something to give back later.
Yeah, it's great advice. It's sort of like the person who is like there you have a contest where people are chopping trees, chopping them down, and one person is
Exactly.
just sharpening their knife, right?
Exactly. I love that. I love that analogy, because again, we're all wanting to have that sale, but then you end up having that sale and you haven't learned anything, and then you build on it, and it's build up of, I don't want to say bad habits, but not having the right foundation to scale up, because most agents suffer when they scale up. You get to a rhythm, and then scaling up becomes a hurdle.
Right. And all of a sudden you don't enjoy your job as much. It becomes a
Exactly.
job.
It becomes a job, not a passion.
Right, right. So for anyone that wants to reach out to you, what would be the best way?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, um, and at Haneen Realtor, or you can email me at haneen@compass.com.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining us today and for giving all this great advice. Because for the viewers out there, the people that are listening, I listened prior to this for about 15, 20 minutes on best things to do, best practices, and so grateful for you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Take care. Be safe.
Thank. Bye.
Bye.